Podcast 99 twarzy AI. Zaprasza Karol Stryja.
A co jeśli powiem wam, że celem sztucznej inteligencji nie jest zastąpienie lekarza, ale oddanie mu czasu na bycie człowiekiem? Trochę górnolotne, ale wyobraźcie sobie świat, w którym macie lekarza w kieszeni, czyli asystenta, który dba o wasze zdrowie, zanim jeszcze pomyślicie o chorobie. Z drugiej strony naukowca w chmurze, który dokonuje odkryć z prędkością, o jakiej do tej pory mogliśmy tylko marzyć. Moim gościem jest dziś Vivek Natarajan, jeden z naukowców, którzy tę przyszłość tworzą. A nasza rozmowa zamiast o algorytmach jest przede wszystkim o, uwaga, empatii, czasie i odzyskiwaniu tego, co w medycynie najważniejsze. Zapraszam na odcinek, który serio daje nadzieję i skłania do myślenia. Zaczynamy.
A producentami tego odcinka są
Mikołaj Poruszek i Janek Toruński.
Vivek, welcome. 99 Faces of AI. Your first visit to Poland. What do you think about our country?
I've only been here like a short while, but from everything that I've seen so far, I'm super impressed. And so it's a real pleasure to be over here. Thank you.
Could you briefly say what's your area of research? Because we are right now in Warsaw at the Google research event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I am a research scientist at Google DeepMind, and I broadly lead projects at the intersection of like AI, science, and medicine.
So let's imagine ourselves in 15, 20 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
How can a future doctor look like? Is it still a human?
I think the future is hard to predict. But in my view, like, we'll probably not have like the concept of like doctor appointments and things like that anymore.
So can you imagine that you'll have the doctor in your pocket just...
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be something that's like always with you, always available to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be something that's going to like respecting like privacy and like all the constraints and like your requirements. It's going to be able to like, process and integrate like all sorts of data that we might be able to collect, right? And so imagine like your wearables data, things at like extremely low resolutions. I mean, I think the big progress that's happening in the field right now is the fact that we can measure biology and human biology at like extremely fine-grained resolutions. So we can understand like molecular signatures, how like people's genetic dispositions might like vary, like proteomics, metabolomics, and all the way up to like, like the phenotypes and the symptoms and things like that you see, and the environment around you, which is also like very important. And so this AI can like assess and like synthesize and integrate all that information and give you like the best possible advice to like take care of your health. And so just to like complete that chain of thought, what I think is going to happen is that like, if we get this right, we might be able to like, catch diseases like 10 years before they happen, right? And maybe like, and if we are able to do that properly, it means that like the cures can be much more simpler. The interventions can be much more simpler. And so I imagine that if we get this right, then for a large majority of the people, it's going to be a lot more like preventative rather than like reactionary as it is today.
So is it possible that we'll live forever?
I don't think there is any like physics constraint over here.
Yeah.
And even in nature, we know certain animals that like live for like 400, 500, 600 years. Like trees probably live for like much longer.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I mean, like I think trees and then like animals like deep down in the sea are known to like live much longer. And there was like these recent studies looking at like, okay, what is it that's like say different between like the genes that are expressed in the whale versus us, which enables the whale to like live like 200 years longer. And so we are understanding all those things better. We thought it might be just because like they slow down like metabolism, but turns out it's not. It's some other mechanisms. But you can take those learnings and apply it. And so it might mean that our lifespans might like radically increase.
So when I hear you, I see that the mechanism is still the same. So we are analyzing the data.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But right now we are analyzing the information about the tissues, about the skeleton, about muscles, body, joints, etc.
Yeah, even lower
about
level.
Our organs.
Yeah, even lower level, like starting from like the genetic code in your cells.
Yeah,
like
but it's on a kind of the macro level.
Yeah.
right now comparing with the vision you've described.
Yeah.
So nothing will change, but the amount of information will increase. So we'll be able to connect the data and analyze it in a different way.
Yeah.
So we can predict the future, not in a terms of months right now when you diagnose the cancer, but we'll be able to diagnose, the cancer 10 years ahead.
Yeah, or like the earliest signs of disease, basically, or like things not happening in like the right way, things happening like in an abnormal manner. And so I think that is the hope and the dream for like many of us.
So looking at this, so I had an interesting conversation a couple of weeks ago with the great lawyer. And what struck me was that he admitted that looking at the AI development and development of the tools that can produce each and every document or regulation or prepare you for a trial or anything like this, the lawyers should consider to become psychologists. You know why? Because the more important will be the ability to connect people or to lead negotiations.
Yeah.
Also to sell the services. So if it's very probable that the systems will be better than human doctors, so what abilities or talents or things should do the future doctors? Who they should be?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think ultimately at the end of the day, I feel like medicine is like a very humane profession.
Yes.
So many times, like, when people say, oh, I need to see a doctor, it's not really to like, get like a diagnosis or like medication recommendations.
But you're telling me I need to see a doctor.
Yeah.
However, research showed that the level of the empathy of the machine can be bigger right now than the empathy of the doctor.
Yeah.
Because you know the reality.
I mean, our studies showed that. But I would say like those studies are in some ways flawed, like including ours. And the reason for this is same, right? I think like we are, the profession is set up in such a way that we don't actually give time to the doctors. Right. I think like when like you're operating medicine as a business.
That was what I meant to say. Because when you are a doctor and you've got 10 patients an hour.
Yeah. It's like a factory.
And 70% of your times take notes and put it on your computer.
Exactly.
Then you don't have time for the empathy or anything like this.
Yeah. It's like, it's transactional. It's like business-like. And it is not what medicine is meant to be, which is, it's supposed to be like a very like humane endeavor. And so my hope, and I think a lot of the people who are working in this field, like what we really hope is that like AI can like give time back to doctors and give time back to doctors so that they can actually have these conversations, like really learn better about the patients, like really understand their social context. And if they have that understanding and context, they'll be a lot more empathetic. But not only that, they'll also be a lot more effective in guiding people, because people are actually just looking for like connection, like just have the feeling of being heard, having like a human voice on the other side, because that is like the big other like pandemic that we have around us, which is like loneliness and like,
Vivek, I've got a curved ball for you.
Yeah, go for it.
So looking at how people interact with the chatbots, isn't it possible that people will tend to visit the virtual doctor rather than the normal one? If people are tending to spend more and more time with the chatbots, which what we see are empathetic, they talk and act in a way how we expect to. So why we should go to the doctor?
Yeah, look, I think like we do see that trend, but I think that trend, like the way to fix it, I think the diagnosis is wrong over there, right? I think the diagnosis is the fact that like a lot of people don't have like humans around them to provide like the care and like satisfy their needs and companionship and things like that. like, look, I think if you're telling me that like an AI can replace like human presence, then I'm like sorry about like the humans
That
in your
would be
life.
super sad.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like, I think that's not true. Like we humans we'll definitely be much more kinder and empathetic and things like that. So it's just like a nature of like where we are right now as society, in the sense that like, I mean, I think the internet technology has done like a lot of amazing things, but at the same time, like, we can't ignore the fact that there is like, massive like loneliness epidemic and things like that. And it is basically like when people are turning to like these virtual chatbots and things like that, it's just a reflection of like wider trends in society, I think.
Sure. We got used to the co-pilots or co-assistants.
Yeah.
There's a new word I came across, so a co-scientist.
Yes.
What does it mean, and what can co-scientists do?
Yeah. I mean, I work and lead a project called the AI Co-Scientist at Google. So for me, like I work at the intersection of like AI and science and medicine, right? And we have these ambition or like this vision, which is like two-pronged. There's like two parallel tracks that are running to each other, right? I think so. One is there's a lot of like amazing, discoveries that are happening in medicine today. And so the question is, okay, like how do you take all this medical expertise that is say available in like, in San Francisco and Boston in the US, maybe even like in the parts of like the EU and like Warsaw over here, and deliver it to like, people in like the rural parts of the world, like the billions of people in like remote communities in like India and Africa and so on and so forth. So that is why we're building the AI co-physician. And so that's the AMI project that we have. But at the same time, we can't stop progress because there's still like so many diseases that we have like no understanding about, like things like ALS, cancer, like Parkinson's disease. So there's still like this, urgent, like unmet need that we need to like overcome. And so that is where we need to like, fundamentally accelerate like the clock speed of scientific discovery, like so that like we can understand biology better. We can like, design like more cures and therapies and deliver them in like a personalized manner. And so that is where like the AI co-scientist comes in. And the goal is really to like, give like scientists superpowers, amplify their abilities, and really like transformatively like accelerate like the clock speed of scientific breakthroughs.
And can you imagine the future that co-scientists will make a major scientific discovery on its own?
I mean, where the technology is right now, and as like someone who's like involved in like building it, I don't think like it. So I think there are like different kinds of innovations. Let me step back and put it that way. So there's like a lot of innovations which is about like making these interpolations or these unexpected connections, right? And I think that is fundamentally bottlenecked by the availability of like human time and expertise. There's only like so many PhDs like we train in a given topic, or like deep experts that we train in a given topic, right? And so there's like limitations on that. But I think there's a lot more to like discover, which are relatively simple to do. It's like, reading like maybe 100 different papers and like making these unexpected connections. And so I think with like, systems such as the co-scientist, we'll see a lot more of those kind of discoveries. And I don't want to like ignore them, because I think they can be extremely effective, and we've already shown that. So for example, like the co-scientist which we have, it was able to make this connection that like a drug that was originally approved for cancer, it can also be like very, very effective for liver fibrosis. But if you ask like a liver fibrosis doctor, they don't know much about cancer, because like that is not their area of expertise. And the co-scientist was able to make that connection.
I was curious about this case you mentioned, and I was thinking that it was the way of the amount of the medicine, and the way how it is distributed. And when we are talking about this, the flow between the research areas, I see a kind of the image. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
And I don't want to be. It's nothing offensive or negative saying that, but sometimes the researchers or the academic world is very closed. And with LLMs, you're able to connect the words very easily. And to talk between the areas without even asking another researcher about the results of the research he done. Oh.
It is kind of like that. And
it's kind of the knowledge transferred.
It is. I mean, we in fact call it transfer learning, but
Look, the internet was made to connect the academic world. So right now, it's the kind of the connection for the content itself, not only for transferring the information, but to be able to mix it up.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it's the same story, like I'm trying to sometimes to show the abilities of the LLMs with changing the perspective.
Yes.
Because I usually show the people how, for example, the department of marketing can use the financial data, use the LLM, and to be able to understand the financial data with the dictionary of a marketing team. So isn't that the same with the research and the those kind of lab stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely kind of like that. And so maybe like taking a step back, right? I think like this, as I was talking, I think like in terms of like when you look at like the nature of innovations, like what I was getting to is that there is like there are like maybe two broad kinds of innovations. And so like I'll come to the second point later, but like I think what we are talking about is the first kind. And this is definitely very, very true. And so like, for example, like for me, today, like with LLMs, like with Gemini, with ChatGPT, like it becomes much more easier for me if I like put in the effort to understand like what the other scientist is doing. Whereas before, like it would take me much longer. So it lowers like the kinetic energy.
So explain physicist domain for a mathematician.
Exactly.
Or a biologist.
Biology, yeah. Because, and again, like a lot of the, like people tend to miss that there is like connection between all these fields. Like you can say in some ways that everything emerges from math and physics and quantum chemistry and then biology, right? So if you take that perspective, then biology is actually fully connected to math and physics. In fact, like people like Eric Lander, they talk about like programmable biology, like, or biology as like programs, which means that biology is connected to like computer science. And the other big trend is
I can see that spark in your eye right now.
No, I mean, I do believe in some aspects of that. I mean, of course, you don't want to take it too far because like these are abstractions that you develop to like, make it easier for you to like, wrangle these difficult topics. But the truth is like a lot of like the like most impressive breakthroughs in the last 2-3 decades have actually happened at the intersection of fields. And so I think like AI, like co-scientists, they can actually help with that intersection, that intermingling to happen, like bring together like communities of people, help them speak like the same language so that they can then like more effectively collaborate. And then the other big trend in science is like we no longer have like these individual geniuses making breakthroughs. Rather, like science has become like a collective endeavor.
Okay, so if a co-scientist came across a new discovery,
yes,
who should get the Nobel Prize?
Yeah, look, I think the way, again, like where technology is today, I would say that it is still like primarily a tool. It's an extremely capable tool. Like it's an extremely powerful tool.
So you mean it's a proof of the human in the loop?
Exactly. Like ultimately, it's still up to the human to use that tool properly, like ask the right questions, like guide it the right way and things like that. But if you're able to do that, then it can like rapidly accelerate your research. But I would still say that the credit goes to like the person who asked the question and used the tool in the first place rather than...
Sure. Coming back to the AI doctors.
Yes.
Shall we trust more the AI doctors rather than people?
Again, I think this is it's common to both our AI scientist work and our AI like co-doctor work that we're doing, in the sense that like we are still trying to do a lot of work to ensure that the AI can accurately like communicate uncertainty. Because if you're like always like confident and like, you don't know when you don't know about something, then it becomes very hard to like trust. So I think that's a very important aspect that we have to like nail with these systems. And it's still like I would say like a research frontier right now, to get like LLMs to have like much better calibrations of when they don't know about something and being able to like accurately convey that information. So I would say that until we get that right, and until we get it to like how good like human doctors are, I would say that like the reliance will be primarily on human doctors, and human doctors will be using AI mostly as a tool for like diagnosis and recommendations. But maybe the switch might like flip once like AI becomes like much more accurate at like communicating uncertainty.
Is there anything you're worried about looking at the development of the technology right now? Do you have any concerns?
I mean, I think that the problems that keep me awake at night are the fact that maybe there are like billions of people who don't have access to medical expertise, or maybe there are like hundreds of millions of families who are like facing devastating diseases, and why we as like scientists, as researchers, are not able to like make faster progress.
You know what you've just said struck me, because I connected with one info that I read a couple of months ago, that, for example, in Africa, there's very little infrastructure on the continent. However, most of the people have the mobile phone.
Yes.
So there's a huge chance that without any infrastructure, the medical consultancy will be available for the people, right? Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, I think like you would still like, it depends on like, you have to like responsibly deploy technology. So it is very important that like, if your AI has been like, primarily developed in like Western contexts, that you do like the right kind of like rigorous evaluation, account for like the social context over there, and do like, proper like ethical studies and like work with patient consent, and then only you deploy. But once you deploy, I can totally imagine like rapid progress in like accessibility like, to like, world-class expertise, even in like communities in like Africa and India.
I think about this one.
Yeah.
So treating a body is one thing. So the medicines, all the imaginary things, the medicines. Okay, so the body is one thing.
Yeah.
And the soul is another one.
Yeah.
So you've got the doctors for your body and the doctors for your soul.
Yeah.
I can imagine that the machines will analyze the data that are given from the medical devices better than humans. But how about treating body and, for example, psychologists?
Yeah.
I will give you an example.
Yeah.
A couple of months ago, one of the listeners wrote to me that one of the chats helped his or her to get out of the depression.
That's great.
Great or sad?
I mean, I think like the fact that you've been able to help someone is good, and like you don't have to be like a doctor to help someone like with a medical condition, right? And so like I think the interventions can sometimes.
But you know what?
Yeah.
I had a great conversation with Professor Włodzisław Duch. He's one of the leading cognitivists in Poland. He was chief of the Neural Network Association, International Network Association. And we were talking about the kind of relationships that we have with the LLMs. And of course, when you lead the conversation in a proper way, you can get the proper answers. On the other hand, if you see the LLMs like not a mirror, but I don't remember how it called in English, krzywe zwierciadło. So the mirror from this legend that you see at the mirror, but you don't see yourself.
Yeah.
Do you catch my?
I mean, it's a great point.
It's the language model. So if you are using not the proper words by describing your problem or situation or the things that you have, you can get the wrong answers. It's same thing. Like, for example, I was analyzing that you can't treat a chatbot like a friend. Because a human friend, when you are saying stupid things, is saying you, hey, you're wrong. I asked the chatbot a question. Hey, I've got a brilliant idea. What would you tell me about the business model based on apples on the sticks? Brilliant idea. You'll make lots of dollars on that. What friend would say?
Probably it's not a great idea.
Exactly. So what do you think about this?
I mean, I actually want to make like a couple of points over here. So the first one is like, you talked about like, AI for the body and like, replacing medicine. I think even there, like there's a lot of like misconception around like what caregiving is and like what doctors do. So like there are parts of medicine that like AI is never going to replace. Like imagine taking care of like a patient who's like completely bedridden, and that can happen if like they have like surgery or something like that. But oftentimes growing old and like terminal diseases and things like that. And imagine the kind of work that you have to do, for example, to like, change their feeding tubes or their urinary tubes, or like, cleaning up them, like, changing. And like people underestimate and underappreciate like the work that caregivers do and like the amount of like mental effort it takes. And when people say that, AI is going to come and like replace medicine and like everything is going like, caregivers and everything is going to go away, like it's like nonsense. Yeah. You have no understanding of medicine. You don't have like no understanding of like what caregiving is. So I think it's all about like amplification and like helping them do a better job and helping them at like, giving care. And I think it's again the same with like the stuff that you talked about, like in the second point that you were trying to make. And again, this is like another like limitation of, not limitation, but it's like, it's a reflection of how like AI is trained, in the sense that like, I'll use the friend analogy that you have, right? Like when you're talking to your friend about like a problem that you have, you're giving them like some information, but that is like lossy compression. They're not embodying you and having like the full experience that you have. Right?
That's the power of context.
Exactly, right? So in that sense, they're taking some representation, some compressed representation of your experience, and then like they're mixing up with their representation and giving you some advice. But it can be imperfect, it can be noisy, and which means that may not completely apply to you. And it's the same. So that is why I say, like, you should listen to advice from a lot of people, but ultimately, like, you are the best judge because you have the full context. You know what's going through your head. Like, you know what you have experienced. So it's the same with like AI as well, in the sense that when you think about like how these AI systems are trained, they're actually trained on like all written text and like, language on the internet, but they don't have experience. They're just reading like a lot of books and papers and articles and things like that. So they're learning from projections of like human experience and knowledge. And that's why they have limitations.
So if the context is a king.
Yes.
So shall we record our lives?
There's like all sorts of devices coming, like the glasses and things like that. That's happening.
that.
Yeah. Again, I can imagine like, always on assistants being part of those classes. But again, like whether there'll be adoption of that technology, I don't know.
Vivek, at the end of our meeting, do you have any your favorite technique prompt that you can recommend or give advice to our listeners? Is there any way of working with LLMs that's super beneficial for you?
I think it's mostly the fact that like, like when you look at like social media and like the commentary on like AI and LLMs, I feel like it's like two extremes. Like one extreme is, super intelligent system. That's the first extreme. It's like useless. It can't do anything. It's hallucinating all the time.
If you're asking useless questions, the answers will be useless.
Yeah. And then the other extreme is like, AGI is here. It's going to replace all jobs. It's going to tank the economy. But the truth is it's right in the middle. It can do certain things for you. It can do them like effectively and productively, but it also has like a lot of like limitations. And so I think it's up to like individuals who have like the context about like their professions, their skills, their needs, to be able to like, experiment with this technology and figure out like how it can like best help them. But also it's not a substitute for like your own thinking and your own work. Rather use it as like a bicycle of the mind. Like let it amplify you. Let it like help you do more. Let it help you like become more productive. But that doesn't replace the pedaling, the effort that you have to put in. It's just going to amplify you and let you like go longer.
Great analogy, because look, for example, when you're going for a walk.
Yes.
When I look around the world you see, it's a completely different way than while you are riding a bike.
Yeah.
Because the perspective is changing much faster.
Yeah.
And we see a lot more.
Yeah. I think it's exactly what's happening over here.
Vivek, that was a great pleasure to have you on my podcast. Thank you. Anytime when you are in Warsaw, please feel to be invited for...
Yeah, I'd love to come back again in the summer. Yeah, it's a great place. And again, thank you so much, Karol.
Thank you very much, Vivek.
Thank you.
Dzięki serdeczne za waszą uwagę i czas. Jeżeli podobał ci się ten odcinek, będę serdecznie zobowiązany, jeżeli puścicie go dalej w świat. A tymczasem pozdrawiam was serdecznie. przypadku jakichkolwiek pytań lub chęci nawiązania potencjalnej współpracy, piszcie na adres karol@99twarzy.ai.pl. Do usłyszenia. Podcast 99 twarzy AI. Zaprasza Karol Stryja.